We're going to get copyrighted straight away for that.
Are we?
Yeah, of course. It's been more than 20 seconds. 2 seconds.
Don't worry about copyright, baby. It's
Doggies,
upset
bro,
alert, baby.
doggies!
Doggies! Ladies!
What?
Oh, fuck.
Sorry, I can cut it out.
Play on, yeah.
Alright, go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Back Yourself Podcast. Hussein, your host, here with the Bulldogs ambassador next to me,
Why am I
Christopher.
now
Welcome,
ambassador
my
of
friend.
everything?
The round review of round 21.
What a round.
What a bloody beautiful round it was. For, you know,
Many
the
things.
sake of the podcast, the sake of the blokes on premium and their wallets, the sake of just watching some entertaining footy, I think this round had a bit of it all.
And TikTok.
But obviously, where we went viral was the ambush of the fucking season at 3 p.m. sharp at Suncorp. And can you hear that? Connor Tracy just scored
Yeah,
again.
he scored again.
So,
Wow. He's that good.
You know, I think like there's no better way to introduce the leader of the kennel as that. So, Christopher, welcome, my friend. How are you feeling?
Very well, mate. Leader of the I'll happily be part of the kennel. Maybe not the leader because I've been off you guys most of the year, but you didn't let me down. To be honest, you haven't let your fan base down any time this year, so deserve to win, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the podcast.
Agreed, and
yeah.
just before we get there, I would like... This might be the last time I wear this.
No, you have to wear it now.
Because, I mean, Jesus Christ, Souths. To only be 2.5 and put that performance in, which...
They're awful.
It's fresh in my brain, and like everything in my body just wants to start screaming at Souths, but before I can do that, I have to give a round of applause to the West Tigers, who on Friday night in the standalone game... Oh no, there wasn't standalone. I almost forgot the second one. And Friday night, 6 p.m. sharp, they go to New Zealand, the Fortress, some call it, and play the New Zealand Warriors in, I want to say, probably the most horrific and pointless, boring, you name it, all of the above game of the season, where a bit of Coruscant magic on the buzzer gets that bet home for the premium blokes, plus 12.5. And I want to say, like, it's probably a good segue into punting wise, what mattered this round, where, you know, this opened at 8, went to 10, went to 12. If you took the early line on the Warriors, you hit. If you took the late line of the Tigers, you hit by the skin of your teeth. And we hit by the skin of our teeth. So talk to me about one of your many clubs, Chris.
One of my
Tigers of War.
I am an ambassador of Tigers and the next team, actually. 3 in a row. Tigers... No. I'm not going to give them the credit they played good. I want to say that for the next team. But Tigers, again, just the same garbage. I beat the drum with them. They're just... I actually thought they were a lot better this week, to be honest. Like, just on paper. But...
What paper?
My paper. I
The
thought they were a little bit better, especially with Papali'i coming back, who scored as well.
I forgot he played, yeah.
They were a
Haaland.
bit better this week. And they just continue to do the same garbage. I actually think they're, like, in that principle of they just, like, give it away. And they're in these games, and this is a testament to, like, preview for next week, is how much Leichhardt helps these bombs, is that the crowd's on their side no matter how bad they play, and, like, it gets them G'd up a little bit and doesn't do this stupidity that they usually do. There was nothing about the Warriors that was great. Warriors are shit. Like, if no one's put a line... Because I'll get to this on mainly today more than anything. No, apparently there's only a top 6 and not a top 8 because no one wants to fucking come 8th, apparently. Everyone wants to lose, like idiots.
Yeah, as soon as these cunts get a sniff, then, like, they pick their losses straight after that.
So,
stupid.
Look, like, now Warriors have a sniff because they lost a couple in a row and they ended up getting a silver platter of Tigers. But, again, New Zealand being successful at home has just not been there. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but Sportsbet is only an Australian platform, is that right? Or does it include New Zealand?
Not sure. I want to say it's only Aussie.
I want to say it's only Aussie, but again, the New Zealand games always seem their spread seems to just balloon, especially pre-game.
But when they play in New Zealand?
And they play in New Zealand, which is strange, right? We see it with a lot of teams, but like for it to go from 8 to 12 with no changes is a lot.
Who did Tigers play last week? When they got killed by someone?
South. The South?
Yeah. So it was 8 at the point that Warriors
but it
lost
got
to
to
Raiders,
10,
but it got to 10 because Tigers got raped by South.
Yeah, why did it get to 12? Like, it's just when it goes one step too far, that's when both on Friday it's gone one step too far and it fucks the negative on their ass. And that's exactly what happened. I don't think Tigers deserve to cover, but once you give them that many points, like, the stupid shit that happens in the end of these games and the way the refs call the game, that they just give 6 again, especially like with 3 minutes to go, just give them calls and maybe they'll score. And they did score. Like, the principle of the game for the players is to go out there and win. So it's only for us punters that we sit here and go, oh my God, if they score, if he kicks it, they actually cover. Like, we're the only ones that care, but seems to always fall on that mark. But again, like, there was enough, obviously, we understand how markets work, and it eventually gets to a stage that there's enough money on 11.5 to push it to 12, and there was enough money on 11.5. It must have been sharp because that won. And whoever took 12, honestly, at that point, I think, like, Warriors can't score. And we were saying it, like, they can't score. And
I have a hot take with the two of these teams.
They're both shit.
If you give both of these teams even possession and, like, even tackles in the 20, I guarantee you Tigers would beat them. Because the Tigers' attack in a vacuum is better than the current Warriors one. Minus Sean Johnson and Metcalf and Nickel Clockstad for all he's worth, which I'm going to get to him. That's going to be my main point of the thing. Tohu Harris, all these players, like,
all these
Warriors, so much ball, like a sickening amount of ball.
They did have a lot of ball.
Which wasn't on accident, right? Because in the preview I said, look, their forward pack is 20 times better than the fucking Tigers one. And outside of Stefano and obviously Papali'i, which was a welcome addition, Haaland himself who scored. Like, outside of these outside backs with Tigers, like, they may as well run backwards. Like, they just can't make any fucking meters at all. The entire first half was played down the Tigers' end of the field. Because it was just a rinse and repeat of... It's like Warriors of Penrith, Walmart Penrith to the max. That they can just keep, like, chipping away. And Tigers didn't really make any egregious errors, but they just couldn't make meters. And then when Capewell scored, I was like, all right, that's pretty soft, like 10 minutes into the game. But the next 25 minutes, there really wasn't much of anything coming from the Warriors. And as Chris said in the preview, like, these cunts have gone up by 4s, and they went up by 4s for the majority of the game. Because, again, goal kicking seemed to be a theme of this round where, like, it's just actually getting dreadful by some of these teams that they can't kick anything. So you see 10-0, and then with 2 minutes to go, unfortunately, Buller drops it on the Tigers' try line, and then they do that little offload play and make it 14-0 at halftime, and you're like, look, the spread, I still felt pretty good about the spread at that point. If anyone took Tigers head-to-head, you're probably thinking, like, 14-0 is too big of a hole to climb, which we saw today. Apparently it isn't. And 10 minutes later, Tigers get a couple of calls to help piggyback them up the other end, and you blink and you're like,
Warriors, what are you guys doing?
It's 14-12. Like, Warriors are literally about to lose this game.
Yeah.
But then
it was carbon copy of the South game, right? And
literally.
Because they went down 16-0 to South, and then they scored. No, went down
12.
10-0.
Yeah, and then led 12-10. So again,
garbage.
like, Tigers have showed that probably what they wanted when they first hired Benji was, all right, like, we're hiring one of the best attacking players in the history of the comp. He's going to help us in our attack, right? And I think, like, when you watch Tigers play, their attack's okay. I don't think it's the problem. I never look at Tigers and think, fuck, how are they going to get 10 points tonight, like I do with some of these other teams. But again, their outside backs, just horrific errors at the wrong times. Licky, like, you just, out of necessity, have to keep naming him, but he's just not first grade standard. And for Tigers to make that a game, I think, like, if Warriors had covered with that Dallin try at the end, it would have kind of pissed me off because their attack was just not good enough to cover against these pricks. And again, like you said, same shit as last week where Tigers tie it, or they're down 2 with like 20 minutes to go, and then they fuck one thing up, and then, all right, Fanua Blake, red carpet to the try line, and then they just, like, drop their heads and quit. But they didn't quit. And like Chris said, 3 minutes to go, Tigers knock the ball on, challenge it, get a penalty, get 3-6 agains, where, like, the result's way out of the question of the fucking thing, but this is where fighting for that extra half and point and scratching and clawing and just doing what you can as a punter. Look, we can't go out there and play. We can't fucking predict the future. All we can ensure is that when we back something, that we're on the best possible thing of what we backed. And which was Tigers 12.5. And, you know, 1 minute to go, Fainu just does a little wraparound with Appy. Appy supports him. He breaks the line, little offload, bang, conversion, lose by 12, where literally no one in the world gives a piss at this point except the punter. So that was a good way to start the round, and the good luck continued, I want to say. Well, depends how you want to look at it, right? But I feel like they're your team, and you probably felt a certain way about them. So what do you think of Melbourne and Parra in this one, mate?
I think this one was not lucky. This was definitely the right side. Munster being named maybe should have pushed this out to 20. to be honest. Didn't realise he was coming off the bench. I didn't realise Bellamy actually listens to the podcast. That's good to know.
You got him on for shits and gigs.
You got him on for literally shits and gigs. Like, he didn't even start, for God's sake. So, look, Para actually... I struggle to understand why they're this bad. And it's because their defence, especially through the forward pack, is awful. Through the middle of the park, which you would expect Melbourne to be, like, the best at it. But then again, like... did they even try? I mean, look, I don't think they tried for any minute during this game. The only player that actually went out there and had a crack was Warbrick. And he has to beat the shit cunts, obviously. But the rest of them, I mean, Hughes probably had his worst game and still got a try. Did he get a try or 2 tries this?
2 tries this, yeah.
I mean, he didn't try. But, to be honest, Para, in contrary to Tigers, came out absolutely possessed. And there was points, especially in that first half, you're like, is Melbourne going to fucking wake up? Because Para were all over him. And that, like, the first 20 minutes, which is classic Para, right? They looked like a normal team, you know, competing for the 8, right? And then after that, it's just like they capitulate for whatever reason. As soon as Jowie comes on, shit fucking hits the fan. And then Melbourne run through a few tries. I felt like Melbourne, like, again, didn't have their full foot on the throttle, but I think the right team deserved to cover because, like, Para showed signs that an 18.5 underdog team didn't show. Yeah, they should just get bent over and raped, which teams that should have been 18.5 that happened today weren't 18.5 and they didn't have a fucking shot, and it deservedly so. But Para, I think, definitely had a crack, and look, their season is completely done, obviously, weeks ago. It's just objective. Not even if they come last, I don't think they give a fuck. Just Tigers have just been that awful that I mean, the competition will be there. But Parramatta's eyes is just like put some decent performances in, and I think address the factor that their fitness is absolutely through the floor.
Yep, agreed.
But like, you know, a really rigorous preseason, which I'm sure Riles is going to put them through, showing like seeing what's happening. Probably show it firsthand on Friday as well. Like they need to wake up. Like just. For next year. If they're just fit, bro, like they're really not that bad. They have talent across the field, and like with Lomax coming in, it's much better. I don't understand.
Honestly, in this game, they tried their absolute guts out. I think like you very seldom will get that effort from an 18-point underdog against the ladder leaders in the competition, and you know they come out possessed. The ref gives them a couple calls. Like it seems it's the same script in every Para game. They score in the corner as he misses the kick, and then they're knocking on the door to maybe score again. They drop it. Melbourne run the full field, and then I think the Grant Anderson scores based on Pappy's line break where Dylan Brown mowed him down somehow. Look, Pappy is not 100% healthy. Maybe Pappy before all the lower extremity injuries takes that one to the house. But you know, Para look at the scoreboard. 4-6 is still not that bad.
They score again,
and then Para score again. You're like, oh okay, like 2 tries to 1. But again, as he misses, only 8-6, and you're thinking, oh okay, like we have a contest on our hand at least. And then as he's ball to Sean Lane where he gets killed, and then Grant scores immediately from that. You're like, fuck's sake, like we know if Melbourne get possession, they're gonna score, but to just like donate them 2 tries like that, you can't afford to do shit like that when you're that heavy underdogs. And at this point, from this point forward, Melbourne score 4 converted tries in a row. And I actually want to point out because I think you actually forgot about this. We had a point in this game where the tackles in the 20 were 36 to Para. One tackle in the 20 to Melbourne. Because A, they either didn't get down there, or 2, as soon as they played the ball in the 21 meter line, try. And I think like that was the thing I was referring to in the preview of, fuck, like, honestly, even in hindsight, if Melbourne get even possession, or let's say the possession was skewed for like 55-45 to Melbourne, we would have actually seen 70 points on the board. Because Para, like, I think they're the least fit team in the entire competition. To me, like, they can fire up for 10 minutes, and I think back to every game they've played, there's a 10-minute patch where you're like, fuck, these cunts are like top 4 caliber, and then as soon as they go away with that or they're faced with some adversity, they just don't have the structure, the fitness, the willingness, the luck, all of that mixed in the pot together, and you get the results that Para have been dishing up for this year. So I think they were up for the fight. They did their best. Melbourne sort of were just walking through the motions for a bit of that game, and the fact that we needed a backdoor try from the Para right winger, who's my boy? for Sean Russell to score.
Awful.
And for them to only cover the closing line of 18.5 on that is actually like really scary from Melbourne, that they can not even give it one piss and cover the 17.5, 14, 13, 12. So all the punters that got on that early line, fair play to you guys. You definitely deserve to cover that. But I think whoever was brave and took Tigers and took Para with the points on Friday night, like, it was good to get out unscathed and get both of those victories by half a point. So that's what premium's for, mate. We look after you boys. I know, like, they're probably sitting at home refreshing their phones waiting for these best bets. But if we had given out 17.5 or 16, like, that's a losing bet. So
yeah,
I think like we did our job on Friday night. That's for sure.
It was a round of the brave. Now thinking of it, if you're brave with a lot of these lines, and put your nutsack out there, you pretty much got rewarded on, I want to say, all 5 games that happened this round.
Yeah. I hope the Zarafos brothers weren't brave.
No, don't worry, but that wasn't brave. But it could have been, but it just wasn't.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, if you're brave, you would have been successful. And then we go to the biggest success of this podcast.
Well, speaking of brave,
I mean, I was brave at the time. Obviously, premium, we kind of bitched out of it at this point, because
critically,
look, I took it with Stephen Crichton playing, with Stephen Crichton out as well. It was pretty bad. But again, I want to say to the world, this is like, what I don't understand, and out of this first 3 games, is that you guys just have like the world that of punting is just a bunch of dumb cunts. And to be honest, all 3 of these positive lines in the first 3 games that ended up all covering and Dogs ended up winning. We could start with Dogs. Obviously, I'm going to yell like no tomorrow once we talk about the actual victory. But I just want to say, from a punting point of view, there is no reason why this should have got to 12. Let's just start that pregame, right? There is no reason to take Brisbane minus 11.5 and with enough funds so it gets out to 12.5, right? So if you were brave at 12, I think the world would be like, why are they 12? And at 10, I think it was still right with Stephen Crichton out, and it still pushed out. And it was one of those games that you just did not want to be against Brisbane. But again, we've seen this so many times. You just want to be against them at this point. And now it's really like, it's over now. So it like any line going forward for Brisbane, you can take out the fact, they're going to fight for the 8, because there's no fight anymore.
You want to make your comparison to when Para beat Sharks?
Yeah, well, but that's the main comparison. But I want you to go through the review of the game itself, and then we'll get to what I have to say about Dogs and Brisbane.
Look, I very rarely come on here and mention coaching in any capacity of a game, but I was shocked to see that my boy Cameron Serraldo completely coached laps around Kevin Walters in this game. I think Dogs won not only with heart and not only with ticker that they've shown for 21 rounds of this season so far, but they won with their brain and with their game plan. To see Dogs, the same Dogs team that went to Townsville last week and scored 3 tries off kicks that had I read every single comment on that TikTok post that we had, and many members of the kennel were saying, "Oh, we can't score. We're not shifting the ball well. Brisbane's gonna get us." I couldn't fucking tell 5 minutes into the game where Dogs, every single set, shifting left, shifting right, bringing players onto the ball, that they didn't play that expensive last week. So it's not an accident that they went there with that game plan. And Brisbane just looked completely shell-shocked from the get-go. Conceded the first try probably 10 minutes into the game. Conceded one not long after that. And then the fucking Globetrotters came out. And the one where Reid Marnie ends up doing the second kick over to Kiraz's side of the field. And then Skeleton scores in the corner. I was like, fuck me. Like, who the hell are Broncos playing?
Agreed.
And then for about 5 minutes, you see why Broncos are minus 10, because Reece Walsh off the scrum, like, again, no, like, coaching, no fucking nothing. There's no, like, anything execution-wise that Brisbane are putting on display. They're just giving Reece the ball and being like, all right, just do your best. And right on the stroke of halftime, Ezra Mam grubbers it from their own 15-metre line to Katoni Staggs, who takes it 85 metres, puts it down under the post, and you're thinking, fuck, okay, like, this is why Broncos were minus 10. This is why they're $1.30. This is why everyone's scared to get in front of them, blah, blah, blah. And then 60 seconds into the second half,
same garbage.
Dogs just go down the right side, Cobbo, who may as well have been a fucking traffic cone on the field, and
Awful.
who was the one that missed the tackle? It was just atrocious.
Mariner or...
Yeah, whoever was there, just pitiful. To like, I don't know what the fuck Kevy said at halftime, but obviously like the desperation in the fight's just not there in the Broncos team anymore. And 22-10 soon after became 28, 34, 40, 41. Connor Tracy like played like a fucking prime Billy Slater in this game, and I think Brisbane were like completely shell shocked to a point. And you know, Adam Reynolds, I think a lot of it falls on him because he's meant to be the steady head that calms the troops, and he's meant to be an extension of the coaching staff on the field. And right from the get-go, they looked like they were in 6s and 7s. And by the 79th minute, they still were in 6s and 7s, and they didn't adjust to what Dogs were throwing to them at all. Cobbo, I think, played one of the worst games in recent memory. Only Dom Young's one against Dogs, in my opinion, was worse because, like, he literally looks like he's injured or something.
Yeah,
He shouldn't even be out there. Like, so after beating Knights and you cunts maybe like thought you were crazy, you're right back down to where you belong and officially permanent marker through the Brisbane Broncos for this season. Yeah. Dogs, minus Critter, I couldn't even tell that he didn't play because Skelton comes on, Carraz goes to centre, and if anything, they looked off. Not to say that they're a better team without Stephen Crichton, obviously, don't get me wrong, but they didn't skip a beat and with the ball in hand whatsoever. So, yeah, it was a perfect recipe of Broncos just doing exactly what they've done for the whole season, not being able to shift the ball properly, not showing urgency defensively, and Dogs exploiting every single thing that is wrong with the current Brisbane Broncos team. So that's how I saw this one.
Well, yeah. So, obviously, get the logo up. Sound the fucking alarm. Back-to-back upset alert victories. This one was a shock, clearly. Even though I saw this coming a mile away, to be honest. Brisbane were the carbon copy of what Para did back maybe a month ago, before Origin, basically. Moses came back. They beat the shit out of Sharks without Hines. Everyone thought they were kind of back at that point because they saw how good they played against Sharks and they're like, you know what? Para's going to drop 30 a game. Can we fucking score 30 on them? And then they played Knights and they got pumped and that was the show. And everyone just quit from there. Obviously, they lost to South after that and then the season was really done. So, Brisbane was exactly the same. I don't even think... Well, I objectively said that they didn't look great against Knights anyway. But obviously, you fucking idiots thought they played great. But anyway, they were all... In my opinion, they weren't great. They were awful against Knights. Knights should have lost by 70 if Brisbane were on their full... If Brisbane were what they were last year, or a shell of what they were last year, they would have put 70 on Knights. They're fucking garbage. But they didn't. So going back home to be minus 12... Again, it's one of those games, and Brisbane has had 3 of these now, that you really just don't want to be against Brisbane because you know how good and talented they are. There was the Roosters game they played at home, which you said, fucking don't show up. Yeah. And they went there and showed up and gave them a crack. There was the Penrith game, which I came out and said, look, there's just one team you don't want to be against, and it's the Brisbane Broncos after quitting to New Zealand. And again, Penrith went there. Maybe one of the games that Brisbane's one of the best games that they've played, but it still wasn't good enough. And then, again, against Dogs was the same shit, right? And the Bulldogs, listen, now, I've been jumping up and down about my upset alert, which, you know, there were $3 underdogs, it was fine. But we've already concisely said, and I said it in the reel as well, the price was wrong, bitch, basically. Like, it should not have been more than 8. If it was 8, I would have been like, all right, like, Brisbane, they're talented enough. And to be honest, an old Brisbane... The way how bad they played in the first half, to only be down 6, you guys were fucked if they played anything like they did in the past. Because they would have come out and just annihilated them, to be honest. But it's this Brisbane. This Brisbane is different. And everyone can concisely, say, this is not Brisbane last year. This is something we haven't seen from
Imposters,
Brisbane.
Mate.
Imposters. Old Brisbane, when they used to come last, right? So... You guys were $3. It was a big game to turn around your season and essentially get you guys almost in the top 4. I think you're on the same points as the top 4 now, but you're in that position. But take it with a grain of salt. I don't want a sour taste on what I did. There's no one in the world that fucking tipped them. Half you fucking idiots that watched that reel were like, nah, bro, Brisbane are this, Brisbane are this. I fucking called it. But I'm telling you now, take it with a grain of salt. You fuck up one of these next 2 games, you might as well have lost this. Especially next week. I mean, if you lose to Raiders again, I've seen it all. with you fucking idiots. So don't get me wrong. Maybe this guy will put him under duress, but I'm not fucking putting you pricks under duress. You have played great the whole year. There is no sign of weakness from you guys, and I said that in the reel. But take it with a grain of salt. This is not Brisbane of old. This is not win the comp worthy game. Obviously, you fucking beat them. You beat 40 on them, but Brisbane is shit. Put that through your heads. Brisbane is shit. They're 11th for a reason, or 12th, whatever they are. Fucking wake up. And what Dogs have done, because you guys could play as bad as you did against Cowboys and fuck it up to Raiders very easily.
No.
Listen, don't fuck it up, because now the world, regardless, all the Doggies fans already had you guys so high wraps. The world now has you on wraps. If you go fuck it up at Belmore, honestly, I'll burn this. There is not even a point of fucking winning upset alert if you're gonna go fuck it up at Belmore, because you motherfuckers, you've played great the whole year. The Cowboys game you shouldn't have fucking lost in the first place. Don't fuck it up by losing the next one, and then. On top of that, you put the pressure all on you guys because you have to beat Dragons. Because if you don't beat Dragons, you're really fucked. So, look, take it with a grain of salt. This week, go stir up any Parafan, any South supporter, any Dragon supporter. You know, everyone in Sydney pretty much fucking lost, basically. Manly, they lost. So take it to them, take it to the Brisbane fans, but keep it like a little bit inside. Because if you fuck up the next two, this goes out the window. And it doesn't matter how much you beat Brisbane, because the world now knows Brisbane aren't good. So be careful. I'm very proud of my upset alert. Obviously, all you guys couldn't see that coming. I saw it coming a mile away. But it doesn't matter if you fuck it up this week. But the Bulldogs haven't let me down so far. So look, I don't think they're going to let me down next week, because Raiders, in my mind, and I know Hussein's going to say the same thing, they're pitiful.
Yeah.
But look, it doesn't matter if they're pitiful or not, because we saw how you played against Cowboys. You can't play like that.
Yeah, agreed.
If you play anything like you did against Penrith, and Brisbane, you'll be fine.
You should slaughter them. So it's just about backing it up. Which, as Chris mentioned, a lot of his point for why he took you guys was, I think Dogs are one of the few teams in the league that you can pencil in a good performance from them every single week. So again, in Belmore, playing for Magic Round revenge, come on, bro, it's Raiders. There's no reason to lose that, or even the Dragons one.
But is this the highest wraps that they've had? I think this is the highest wraps that they are.
I don't know. The Sharks win was pretty annoying at the time, but
yeah, but again,
this one, maybe it seems that way for us because we have had so much fucking.
No, I feel I don't know. I feel like this is the one.
The Kennel's out in full flight.
The Kennel's ready.
Yeah. I don't think they've won at $3.50 like that. That was fucked.
No,
especially
after losing the Cowboys as well, it was a bit.
And the way, the only thing that caught me off guard in this game
is the way they won.
When I look back at the recent Doggies performances, it's not like they put 40 against Cowboys. They didn't put up 40 against Warriors. They didn't put up 40 against Sharks. They've been winning all these games by a winning margin of 4-2, 1-1. They lost the Cowboys by 2, 16-12, that sort of performance. Which really, really, really makes me question what the fuck is going up
at Brisbane.
At Brisbane for them to just get killed like that. So I don't even know where to go with Brisbane for the next 6 rounds, because obviously season's done. You're not making the 8. You fucking quit on the air in 4K in front of everyone's television screens, 3 p.m. sharp on Saturday. Now you go play Titans, I need to sleep on that for fucking 3 business days before I figure out what to do there.
We only got 2, mate, so you better have some good night's sleep to fucking think about what we're going to take next week. But
the team that does give me good night's sleep for the second week in a row, the mighty. Well, I don't know if mighty's the word, but the North
back to back, we've hit them both.
Yeah, thank you, mate. I think we're trending after we had to cop that Origin loss, and ever since then it's just been green ticks everywhere. So, the mighty North Queensland Cowboys at 5:30 p.m. sharp took on the hapless Cronulla Sharks with, as Chris mentioned, no players and no reason to go up there and get a win. And Cowboys held up their end of the bargain. Bit of a costly win with obviously Ruben Dubin going out with a head knock that he doesn't seem like he's going to play next week, as it was a Category 1. And from the way he went down, I'm surprised if he plays again. So
wow.
Now, he'll play in 2 weeks, obviously, because footy players, they're tough as nails. But who won't be playing for the next, I want to say, 5 or 6 weeks is Jason Taumalolo. So they're going to have to, it's going to be really hard for Todd Payton to fill that 19 minutes a game that Taumalolo has been playing.
Well, it's going to be Harrison
through his cheekbone injury. So
Jesus
again,
Christ.
you lose 2 of your middle rotation pieces, and there's not much depth in that side of the field for you guys. Obviously, Helium will come back next week, but means they have to relegate Finney, which will hurt me. But
Well, maybe Finney will
I
go
want to
through
I want to tell the world that like I know no one gives a fuck about my under duress of the last like 3 weeks, but I guarantee that it will not be Cowboys for a fourth week in a row. So you can say goodbye to that.
interested-
I had my
I'm
fun with these
I'm
cards, but
interested to know who it's going to be.
in my opinion, like
It might be the other team this week coming.
Cowboys might be the worst 11-win team I've ever seen in
They're
my life.
awful.
They are absolutely horrendous, and for Sharks to lose to them just goes to show that they had no players. If Will Kennedy, Nico Hines, and most importantly, Loki, they missed him severely. Royce Hunt played in this game.
Oh
It would have been a completely different ball game, and it was actually just moments of stupidity from both sides. Like the Mulatalo grubber, 1 centimeter grubber on his own try line at halftime was comical, and will be one of the back yourself moments in the season review to mention, in my opinion. But I think probably the sin bin right before halftime, or was it right after halftime, where Blake Brayley just held on to all Holmes for too long. Taulagi coming back, I feel like the Cowboys look much more lethal on that side of the field with Dearden, Holmes, and Taulagi together. Obviously, on the right side, Viley is still there, so it's hard to watch. But I want to call him out, and he definitely has to be in Words FC, which I think Chris will put him in there for me. But Mulatalo, like defensively, he would take a 3-on-3 and make it into a 3-on-2 for Cowboys by just jamming in on Viley, of all players, for literally no reason. Cost them about 3 tries. If Sharks just played with like a little bit more IQ, I think they easily could have won this game. But again, for as much as I put shit on Cowboys, they have 11 wins and 8 losses, which is a lot better than a lot of these other teams. And with everyone fumbling and bumbling their way around that part of the ladder, it seems like they're on track to somehow make the 8, which whoever plays them, I would equate that to a bye in week 1 of the finals. But yeah, they got me a win. I'm proud of them. They got premium victory as well, 3 units on Cowboys at the money line. So it was a good win after the Dogs ambush at 3 p.m. sharp, man. How'd you feel about this one?
Oh yeah, they got away with another one, didn't they? I feel like they got away with it. And Sharks, they just didn't have the troops. And I said it preview, like, for Royce Hunt to be out even after we did the preview as well, it's just...
Yeah, they had nothing.
Cowboys were getting fucked. With Ruben Cotter and Taumaloa out for the match, I could just imagine Royce Hunt coming on.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have got rolled
Agreed.
through the middle of the park. So, it's just unfortunate. Sharks could have easily beaten them again. The voodoo would have kept it going, but they just didn't have the troops to beat them. I think even with Kennedy at fullback, like, it would have helped. Cowboys, the worst 11-win team I've seen in a long time. Then I think Dogs have 11 wins. To compare Dogs to Cowboys,
Yeah, night and day.
Yeah, Cowboys are atrocious. I really don't have much to say because, like, to be honest, like, they don't deserve to be there. But because of these fucking idiots that really think it's a top 6 and not a top 8 below them and around them that keep fumbling and dumbling, that's a good word for it. They're the only team that's consistently just wins, right? It doesn't matter if they cover the spread. It doesn't mean anything. They just get 2 points on the board. Obviously, the big part was the 2 wins that they had at Penrith and at Roosters when they had, obviously, the Origin stars out and they had Purdue. But it doesn't matter because they win anyway. So just having those wins,
those are the huge ones, yeah,
but
for
like,
sure.
they win these games, right? And a lot of the time that these Sharkies go up there and beat them, and it was much better to see that they actually got the 2 points. And Todd Payton would be like, all right, all that complaining and all of us analysts, even analysts would be saying it outside of us, even though we're probably sharper than them, were saying, what the fuck are Cowboys doing? And right so, they were awful. And they still are. They haven't been properly exposed yet, but I'm not going to say any other words. So, yeah, good job, Cowboys.
Yeah, good job.
Great win for Premium.
Yeah.
But speaking of the next team, I'll have words for them. Fuck me.
Manly, Roosters, yeah. Just set the Wolves loose. Go for it.
All right. Roosters hosted Manly.
They hosted them,
All right. let me just start. First of all, the fact Jennings is on the field, that hurts me. If we're being consistent in this sport, that is a sin bin, minimum. Saab goes off. All right. Garrett goes off. Sure. Simpkin plays 20 minutes. I'm not sure if he got injured, but he didn't come back on. And you motherfuckers only beat him by 4. Now listen, all right? Luke Keary, you're in Works FC. For a winning team to put a player in Works FC is because of the 2 intercepts. You guys gave 3 intercepts in this game to a team that fucking couldn't fucking score at all. They had no reason to score. There was shit across the park. Didn't have talent anywhere. Lorna was playing centre. I don't know. Waddell on the other side. It was garbage across the park because of the injuries and the HIAs and all that. You guys are the typical team that when you guys went up 22-0, we were sitting there like, it's Roosters. This is what they do, right? So they go get fucking pumped by Melbourne, by Penrith, the shit cunts, the good teams, and the shit cunts that come beat. Fine, right? Fine. Now, what I want to say is we sent out -8. So this is not the salt, because at the end of the day, we would rather see Roosters lose every fucking game than actually win on them, because as far as I'm concerned, they're the biggest scum on this fucking planet Earth. To give away 3 intercepts. 3! First one, all right. Honestly, the last one, I'm okay with it. Because the last one was fine. The second one just defines to me what the culture of the Roosters is. And the fact that you guys are up at that point you are up 14. 14?
Yeah. No, 16.
16. And this motherfucker wants to fucking throw a cutout across the field like 30 meters when any other team would just take hit-ups, kick the ball long into the corners, kill the game, basically. This motherfucker wants to continue to push up their points differential, even though that won't fucking matter when it gets to the finals, but you guys want to get it to 700, apparently, you shit cunts. He throws the intercept to, I still don't know who this 18th man player was, and he scores. All right. Then Manly go and drop it. It basically said, we're fucking quitting. Please, put us away. And he does it again. I mean, incredible. So, this was essentially the definition of, you can't trust these motherfuckers with any line at this point. Like, they'll just throw it away. Because they want, instead of it just ending, Manly lost by 14, they want it to either end, they lost by 30 or lost by 4. That's their strategy.
Seems that way.
And pre-game, I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? Manly are going to I think Manly are going to fire up and cover. They didn't fire up. You guys fucking gave it to them. Awful. So the Sydney Roosters, no Melbourne, no Penrith team would ever let that happen to them. They'll give them one try, all right, and then kill the game. Well, for Dragons, they didn't even get one try. But for most teams, Penrith will give them one, Melbourne will give them one, especially Melbourne. They don't give a fuck, right? But for you to put it back-to-back times to not cover the spread, not cover 13 plus, just win by 4, for how poor and how many injuries Manly ended up having, they almost had 50% of the players that would be starting in this game, if you count the injured pre-game, not on the lineup, not on the field. Olakau'atu, Kola, Garrick, Saab, Simkin, I've got you 5 that were not in the Lockie Croker, all were not there, and you still only beat them by 4. You guys are idiots. Plain as day. Manly on the other side, to be honest, you guys quit. But you guys are the dark horse of the competition. I mean, to keep them at 34, if you think about it, they were 22-0 in 20 minutes.
Yep.
To keep it at 34, 2 more converted tries, you did something right. Even though you guys were pitiful.
Yeah, they intercepted the ball 3 times.
You guys did something right? So, to keep yourselves in the game, I'm genuinely shaking for when everyone's back. Because the resolve of Manly is, like I said last week with Titans, and we saw it with Roosters, even though they conceded 34. For the players that are out there, they should have conceded 50, but it's Roosters, right? So, to concede only 34 to this team is a resolve that Manly hasn't had in the past. And they're defending, they're not an elite defensive team, but they can defend. They've kept teams off their line and not scoring.
Oh, yeah.
Just wait. I know, Waddell was there. That's what I'm saying. He's not going to be there, right?
Awful.
So, look, overall, I actually saw more why Roosters will never win a competition and why Manly are a dark horse. Because as far as it goes, Manly can repel 1 or 2 sets, but they'll concede at some point. But at least you fucking know when they go down the other end with the players they had, they're going to fucking put points on the board. And this time was just lucky that they got intercepts. But to be honest, they would have carved your team apart with Saab, Kola, Garrick, and Lehigh if he was fucking there. He was also not
Olakau'atu
playing. Olakau'atu as well. There's a million players that they didn't fucking have there. So Roosters, as far as I'm concerned, your premiership is done after this game. That's my case closed.
I actually completely disagree with you in
What
many
that-
ways.
What Manly were that
Manly were absolutely horrendous. And you talk about Saab and Garrick and all these players going down. But you did also mention that this was 22-0 by the 20th minute
bad? Yeah,
mark.
that's what happened.
So it was 22-0 when all these pricks were there. And it wasn't on accident because, I mean, Manly in the middle of the field, like, for Sam Walker to walk through Aloye, Corey Waddell,
They're awful.
Cherry Evans, all these players in the 9th minute of the game to score under the posts and then to concede again and again and again. To be 22-0 in 20 minutes before any of this HIA bullshit happened, I think actually just shows that Manly are not ready for the big leagues. And if Manly get fucking dragged to the deep end of what NRL finals footy can be with Penrith and Melbourne, they're not gonna fucking hang in there. They didn't hold these cunts out.
Yeah, but these motherfuckers haven't hung in there.
No, Roosters are nothing either.
Yeah,
They're
no,
dirt.
exactly. Yeah,
The
exactly. That's what I'm
Roosters are the dirt of the NRL. That's fine. And we didn't need to fucking watch them play Manly to know that, because to win 1 out of 20 games against Melbourne and Penrith, yeah, bro, you cunts are gonna go beat them, both of them in the finals in your wet dream, maybe. But as far as like taking away some sort of resolve from Manly, there's no resolve.
I believe in
When
that.
Luke Keary throws you the ball 3 times, that's, hey, here's 18 points to you guys instead of 18 points for us. And had this not been 3 intercept tries, you would have seen 50-6, which should have been the fucking full-time
but
score.
the intercepts weren't even like difficult.
Look, the first one...
There was no heroics. It was literally in his bread basket.
That's what I'm saying. There's no fucking
no, but
resolve.
it's
This
not
can't just peg them the ball.
What?
And I actually disagree with your sequencing.
But that, bro.
Tedesco's one, all right. I think
I give that one away.
Tommy
Yeah,
Talau, like, it was
Good
pretty
read,
hard to
good
catch that, and then, like, he's just been possessed.
The second one.
Keary's one, like,
The last one.
all right, I know you're trying to front run, and you're going to fucking bump it up from 16 to 20, whatever. You probably, like, you look across and you're like, these cunts have nothing, whatever, fine. The last one,
It was hilarious.
Manly dropped the fucking ball on their 20-meter line, challenged it, wasted the challenge. They're doing this on the field. Like, all right, please, ref, end this match. And Keary copy-pastes the same fucking play. Cherry Evans is like, thank you. And he goes and scores under the post. And then Roosters, at that point, they're like, no, God, now we can't offload or fucking throw the footy around. Now we definitely can't cover 7 or 8 or whatever the fuck everyone laid. And now we're going to play conservative and we're just going to shake that, oh, fuck, Manly. Like, if Manly had all their players, they actually would have scored in that last set and won outright.
Yeah.
Which, thank God for Roosters' sake, that Garrick and Saab were out at this point, because it actually would have mattered. If you can't lost this game, it would have been the single most horrendous fucking loss, easily of the season.
Yeah.
And probably thinking back to the last 5 years, I can't think of a dumber fucking loss than if these pricks
Well,
had
if
lost
they
that.
scored in the last 3 minutes, bro,
Yeah.
Saab just like
Yeah,
walked
literally,
out
yeah.
there.
And, I mean, Dom Young, like...
He's not gonna make it, right?
He just can't catch anything. You're lucky Mulatalo and Thingy played. The Tigers winger,
Yeah.
Lalaliki. Jesus Christ. But, like, that bomb with 5 minutes to go, he let it bounce, I promise you, 9 times, and then he dropped it. It's just like, brother, catch the ball. What's wrong with this guy?
They're a top 3 team, but they're not Penrith caliber. And
Yeah, agreed.
Like,
There's a huge gap
there's a
between
huge
the other
gap,
two.
and like I just think like they're just retarded, to be honest.
They
Like,
really are, yeah.
This is back-to-back weeks that obviously they got away with it because, like I actually don't want to take the point that Manly were horrific. I refuse to believe Manly were horrific.
Okay, then why were they down 22-0?
Did you see the calls in the first half?
There was
You want
no
me to play a
calls.
clip? You want
There
me
was
to play-
no- there was
I
no
wanna-
calls.
I want to get a screenshot of how
No.
many penalties there was to Roosters in that first half.
No, there wasn't a penalty that made fucking Sam Walker walk through their
Just
line.
wait. I'll
I'm telling
find
you.
the clip. I guarantee you they
Nah.
won the penalty count.
Manly, wow.
But to be honest, it doesn't matter because these cunts, like, they're retarded. They're honestly. My point is actually off track now.
I have a better question for you
My
once you're
point
done.
was about fucking Trent Robinson. This is second week in a row that, as far as I'm concerned, they don't even fucking listen to you.
It seems that way.
Like, you could go out and say we're never going to drop it.
They'll
Obviously,
drop it straight away.
they'll drop it like they'll complete 50%. It's awful. I mean, how hard is it to like teach discipline to these fucking idiots? And if they're that much idiots, get rid of them. Seriously, Radley's one on the try line was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
The hit off the ball.
Like, Turbo is not even... He's passed the ball, and then you're just like, all right, you know what? I'm going to give him a nudge. I fucking hate Turbo, eh? And he gives him a nudge and the ref's like, all right, fine. Like, I mean, and then he comes up to, oh, bro, he went past the ball. Well, you fucking hit him, you dumb cunt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just stupidity across the field. You're lucky Hargreaves wasn't playing. Probably would have got sin bin.
Agreed.
And look, the other time, I remember last time they did this and then they got a sin bin and didn't cover. Or they end up covering. Oh, Tigers.
Tigers.
Yeah, well, they didn't end up covering because it's Tigers.
I think they got 2 sin bins.
Yeah. But they just let teams back in the game. And honestly, like you said, if there's 3 minutes left and if in a hypothetical sense, all of a sudden Manly turned to have all their players in that last 3 minutes, they would have scored. 100%.
Yeah, probably.
And they just didn't have the players out there. They shouldn't have been that close in the first place. But again, Roosters' stupidity, and that's why you're not a premiership threat in my case.
Okay, hypothetical situation. It's week 2 of the finals. Manly are going to Allianz to play the Roosters. Manly have Kola and Ola Kawatu and Saab and Garrick and Lockie Croker. And Roosters get Joey Manu and Warrior Hargreaves back. Who wins?
There's an alarm going.
You're sounding the alarm?
There's an alarm.
Okay. You genuinely think they'll beat them?
I am so bullish on Manly. Like, there's no turning back at this point. I still think that they're a definite shot, especially Roosters. I think the worst matchup for them will be obviously Melbourne and Penrith. But they can knock off Roosters and Dogs. Quote that right now. They can knock them off. I genuinely think they're a bit better defensively this year, but offensively, they've transformed to another beast. And in a league that most of the time fucking idiots score based on the ref giving 6 again, 6 again, 6 again, 6 again, if you get that against Manly, obviously every team could concede. But Manly just need one set. And offensively on the other opposition's goal line, they can score from 50 meters out, they can score from 10 meters out. It doesn't really matter to them. They don't give a fuck. They have the speed, they have the athleticism. I think they can knock off Roosters and Dogs. So your hypothetical, if it's a prelim and they play either of them or week 2 of the finals, I will be sounding an alarm in a 2-round fixture.
Big time. Yeah, fuck yeah. Okay. I think definitely if they get that first final at Brookvale, which it seems they're trending towards 5 or 6 as far as seeding goes, unless they fuck around and come fourth, which is a different story. Whoever goes to Brookvale shouldn't show up. I'll say that right now, but I think I'll be interested to see what the bookies do with the spread by the time Manly get to Roosters or Sharks. I mean, wow. But I still think Roosters have enough classy players that they would get on top of them in a game at Allianz. I would like to think so, but again, they could fucking get on top of anyone except Melbourne and Penrith, and they can lose to anyone, which we've seen from them. So you can't. You should be grateful that you managed to escape with the 2 points in this one, because you probably didn't deserve it, you fucking donkeys.
Speaking of 2 points.
All right, I need the floor. I need the floor.
Honestly, they didn't deserve 2 points, but anyway, continue.
First of all, shout out to the Zerafos brothers. Obviously, we have a lot of love for you guys, but just pull the headphones out for the next 45 seconds, because I'll be short and sweet. I don't want to talk about this game. I want to talk about Dragons in the grand scheme of things. That the fact that they have 9 wins is a miracle, and shout out to Shane Flanagan that he's making wine out of water with these pricks. But today just shows that you are not ready. You don't have, in my opinion, an NRL standard lineup. And to run out Fiona at fullback, I officially have seen everything in this competition. And it's not even a matter of they didn't have heart, they didn't have effort, they didn't execute. They're simply not good enough. And when you put Penrith on the other side of the field and they actually have their origin players, unlike last time you played them, you get the result that you get today. I feel like they could play that game 10 times over, and whether Penrith win by 20 or 40 or 50, that's the only variance. There's no fucking situation that you can run out Fiona at fullback and run out these dickhead forwards and get a win against a team like that. So whoever took plus 11, fair enough. It's not fair enough at all, actually, because I would honestly be reluctant to take plus 18 in this fixture. Cleary obviously looks scary, got himself a hat trick. Penrith, the forward pack is just on another planet, obviously, and when you put Eisenhuth and all these pricks next to them, you're only going to get one result. So don't feel bad. Don't go and on the fucking Dragons Facebook page and be like, oh, the boys didn't fucking put in effort. What the fuck is this club doing? Just be grateful that you have 9 wins. You have a lot of more wins than some of these other rat bag fucking teams who have even better talent than you even. There's no excuse for you to have double the wins that Para have. Those cunts should be fucking crying themselves to sleep at night. But Dragons, don't show up to Melbourne next week. Just regroup, get ready for Dogs, and keep your season going that way. But again, you're just not that good of a team. That's as simple as it gets.
Yeah, well, they're not. And they're not competing with Penrith and Melbourne, even if It doesn't matter how big the Dragons or Xerophos brothers fucking pipe them up. They're garbage. But I'm going to do a bit of a contrary here.
Oh, God.
They were awful. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they had nothing. Obviously, Sloan needs to be a fullback. Matt or Max, whoever it fucking was, who cares? They were garbage.
Why did they drop Sloan?
At least put fucking Lomax there. Come on. Anyway, listen. You're going to lose today no matter what. Losing the fashion you did doesn't look great. And obviously the fan base, Facebook, Instagram is going to fucking kill them. We understand. But you're going to lose. So if you lost by 2 or you lost by 42, in my mind, doesn't mean much.
I agree.
Because the Dragons game is 7:30 Saturday night in a week and a half's time. No, 2 weeks' time from yesterday. Against Bulldogs. Because you win that, it doesn't matter what really happens. Because the dicks you have at the end, you're going to fucking win something stupid. Because I think you play Para and Tigers, which they'll give you a win. So, and it gives your team a lot of hope winning that game. So, this week and next week, especially after beating Brisbane, which we now know Brisbane are shit anyway, but after beating Brisbane in this 3 fixtures thing, you've done your job.
Agreed.
So, you're not going to win next week. Like Hussein mentioned, quick one to the preview. We're not going to say much about it. Don't fucking go. Just don't go. Honestly. Unless Melbourne truly, the whole team plays for shits and gigs, you guys are fucked.
Yeah, agreed.
But that in 2 weeks game is essentially make or break the season. On the line. Agreed. And it really comes down to that. And we've said it for weeks. This game is going to be huge. Sell it out, Dragons fans. Don't look at today. Don't look at what the fuck's going to happen next week because you might lose by more than you lost to today. Don't be surprised. But that game, sell it out. Get as many flags. Get as many fucking jerseys, scarves, you name it. Everything Dragons apparel because you win that and all of this is out the window. Doesn't matter if you're negative 500 because these motherfuckers, every single one of them loses to each other. So it's fine. You just saw the next game, the biggest idiots of them all just lost and they've dropped from 4th all the way to 7th or 8th now, the fucking morons. So, look, you still have a chance because you're on 24 points. Like I mentioned, you don't deserve to be there with 9 wins and you can't are overall garbage. But you have a chance. So if you lost today by 2 or 42, don't fucking sulk. Don't cry yourself to sleep. It's not a big deal because at the end of the day, you guys were way shitter than what you guys should be putting out there. A team with a proper fullback, proper as in Sloan, Ravalawa and Jack Bird, instead of these fucking idiots everywhere, is 10 times better than what the fuck you ran out there. Yeah, so it's night and day, and you're playing a definitely much better team than what Bulldogs is going to be, a much better team than like Melbourne and Penrith are the creme de la creme of the competition. So don't take any heart away. Obviously, anyone that took plus 12 or plus 11 or plus 10 or whatever you took are still dumb cunts. If you still took head-to-head, I love Dragons, and I couldn't even look at them today. Like, awful. But it's up to the next 2 weeks. Next week, like I said, we've already done the preview for it. Don't even catch a flight. There's not even the point of paying for it because you guys are going to go there and get fingered.
And if you, like Dragons fans, maybe they heard my reaction and they like knee-jerked. They're like, oh, like why the fuck's he bagging out my team? If you actually listen to what I'm saying closely, I'm actually complimenting your team. Because I'm saying there's no reason for you can't...
To have a chance?
To even have a chance. But as Chris said, all right, you're going to get raped by Melbourne. You're always going to get raped by Penrith. That's fine. If you beat Dogs...
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Tigers, Para, like, they're giving fucking wins like Oprah Winfrey. So at this stage, like, you really need to fix that on that game.
And you got a free win with these cunts when they're out of Origin anyway.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. So, again, Dragons, like... You can keep fucking firing up for the rest of this season. I just like the reports that you're gonna get Valentine Holmes. Like,
well, next year is right off.
I think Flanagan's just been like, I can't bear the sight of Sloan just getting rolled over, and we can see 2 tries a week for this.
Val back to full. He was awful at Cowboys.
He was awful. That's what I'm not sure. Like,
but they did have Scotty. Like, it will be night and day, right? Scotty was actually good.
Scott, yeah.
Like, Sloan's not good. Clearly, if Feeney can replace him, he's not good.
Scott,
maybe he needed a week. I still think Sloan will come back.
I think Scott cracked my top 10 favourite players this week.
All right, let's get on to one game that...
Who cares?
Fuck me. Like, no one wants the top 8. No one wants to play finals footy. Dolphins what was the point of leading 14-0?
Yeah, literally.
I mean, they went out, honestly, to start this game. I looked at Dolphins, I'm like, Titans are going to get fucking rolled. Dolphins were all over him. Pangai looked possessed.
Yeah.
And he scored.
Jesse Bromwich scored, for God's sake.
walked through the line. Walked. Literally, he can't run anymore. He walks through the line. And I'm like, these cunts are going to quit. And shout out to the Dez and the Titans, bro. They just do not let up. But I want to say this. It's not an indictment on Dolphins. It's an indictment on the whole league. The fact that we could sit here at halftime and be like, we could see this coming is scary.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to think a team that is already 6-point underdogs, who are down 10 at halftime, or at one point were down 14 without a sin bin, and be like, you know what? They could fuck around and come back and win.
Yeah.
And they fuck around and come back and win.
Yeah.
And it's actually scary to think that it doesn't matter what lead you have with these shit cunt teams, they just fuck it up, right? And when momentum's against it, they just concede the whole biggest horse shit tries. I mean, Cleese half scoring, I've seen everything.
You know what's actually interesting?
Is it only us that sees it, or is like the world does see it?
We see it, but this is the one thing that actually doesn't make any sense. And when I explain this to you, your mind might be blown, because I don't think you've thought about it this way. And it's just like a light bulb popped in my head, and I thought about this. When the garbage cunts go up 12-0 or 14-0 against the actual cunts in the top four, they win outright.
Yeah, I know.
But when the garbage cunts go up 14-0 against cunts that are just as, if not even more garbage than them, they lose. I don't think, like, I don't remember a Penrith 12-point comeback win or a fucking Manly one or a... Well, actually, Manly did this to Titans last week, which is hilarious. But when the retards play each other, it's like no lead is safe with them. And Tigers have almost done this the last couple of weeks in a row, but they're just too shit. Yeah. Titans are good enough that, all right, chuck a sin bin in there, give them that age-old pointless try before halftime to give them hope. Because if you go into halftime down 14-0, like what Des says to you at that point, you can't just fucking not gonna fucking try, because you obviously didn't try to let Jesse Bromwich walk through the try line. But you do that pointless sin bin, and Josh Kerr, I mean, will you get a hat trick next week? I'll have my eye on you, but give that shit sin bin, concede. You look up, you're only down 8. You have the first 8 minutes with 12 men opposing you. And they take Pangai and Jesse Bromwich off, and some of the bums that they brought on, like, just open this game up for Titans completely. Throw in a bit of luck of, all right, like, Dolphins actually broke and ran the whole field, get tackled on the 1 meter line. This is while they have 12 players, by the way. Bostock picks the ball up and just puts it down on the try line, says thank you, but wait, Papa, let's go check. He drops it in the fucking, picking up the ball by half a centimeter. Throw in 3 forward passes that Camperero scores off, because the ref, Stevie Wonder's reffing again, he's back.
And then the David knock on, that was a strip.
Yeah, and then like you put yourself in a dumbass position that, all right, they're just going to grub her in, and it's going to ricochet off the post into Cleese Haas's hands. Which, God, I hate him. But yeah, like that's just how the game developed. And at halftime, I was like, you know what? Actually, one thing I hate, excluding everything that we're talking about in NRL, punting in Australia, in the worldwide punting, cunts just press a button and their live bets get placed just like pre-game ones. But we're the only cunts in the world that we have to call up due to regulation. So at this point, Dolphins went up 14-0. I'm like, you know what? Titans can win. And they're getting plus 20.5 live. I know they're the
20?
It was 20, yeah.
Jesus.
I'm like, they're the type of fucking imbeciles that will come back and I know they're going to score like soonish. Because in that first 25 minutes, like, Kieran Foran was literally about to cry with some of these calls that these cunts were getting. Just piggyback out of their own end. And I'm like, at some point he's going to start calling them for Titans and then they're going to go and score and blah, blah, blah. So I tried to take the plus 20, but obviously these cunts are they're not going to answer. They're going to wait until the sin bin and the try. But then at halftime, I'm like, they're down 8 and they're still getting 8.5 points. So like, all right, I really need to get out of this Dolphins minus 5.5 because these cunts are going to fucking lose. I can't be bothered. And then Dolphins don't score again. Yeah, like that's it for their high-powered offense with Katoa and Nicarima and all these backs. They didn't score again. So yeah, 30 in Penrith just to fucking go and not score for 60 minutes against Titans, who conceded 40 to Manly the previous week. So as Chris articulated, this was the game that conveys to the whole world that all these retards between 6 and 12, I want to say 6 and 13, They're just taking turns winning and losing games round by round to just give us that last month of footy where we were like, okay, fuck, who's going to make
Well,
it?
one team's going to explode and win like 5 or 6 in a row, and they'll be like everyone's hot talk into the 8, right?
Who? Knights again.
No. Well,
Seriously, who?
I'll tell you who it is. It's the team that played your team around your scarf, I reckon.
Wake up.
They're the only team that has a chance.
Well, they're playing the team around your scarf.
Well-
so. What? No, okay.
They've won 2 in a row now.
They're not three-peating, and they're not beating Manly, so who are they going to beat? The preseason. Are you counting preseason wins for next year? Wake up.
Well, if they beat Dogs, they don't need to beat Manly.
They're not beating Dogs.
Yeah, I know they're not, but like, besides the point anyway. No one gives a fuck. The fact that anyone could see this coming, just like watching the game live, is actually concerning for the league. But anyway, we've dealt with it for 21 rounds. It's in the 6 rounds.
Same garbage. Yeah.
Same garbage.
I will like genuinely sleep easier at night once all these dickhead teams are eliminated, and I'm just there. All right, the top 8's the 8. The first like 7 and 8 are just gonna get raped in week 1, and I can just like take the competition for what it is at that point. Because trying to like figure out what the fuck's gonna happen with Dolphins or Cowboys or Titans, throw in Raiders and Knights, like I'm losing sleep over this shit every week.
Well, speaking of Raiders, but the South Sydney Rabbitohs, maybe the most anticipated game for us two at least. Fuck,
For
it
me
was
especially.
so funny.
Fuck, it lives up to the expectation.
So the Raiders beat the shit out of South. Anyone that took South +4, +3, head to head, +2, you dumb cunts.
Yeah, South's
The
just
South lineup
awful.
was awful. Awful. I mean, Cheekham?
Yeah.
Wake up.
Terrible.
Johnson obviously going down. It's unfortunate to him. His season is done. On to next year, unfortunately, for South Sydney. And also their season's obviously...
You never like to see the player just innocuously fall down like someone's shot him in the back of his leg, but obviously the nature of the Achilles injuries, like I think as soon as he went down, I was like, oh fuck, they're going to have to stretch this cunt off. So that caused the reshuffle, which at this point is already 18-0, who gives a piss, but for Milne to go out to the wing, like just atrocious. And Souths, for all you cunts have done the last couple of weeks, as me and Chris have alluded to, losing Latrell and Cam Murray for this 2-week stretch was just incomprehensible for your chances of making the 8. And the freebie I gave out in the preview for anyone that stayed around all the way until the end of the game was Raiders 13+, and I want to say probably after the 15th minute, I don't think that was ever in doubt, because Raiders, they definitely came with a certain attitude that they more so showed in the first 8 rounds where they were well entrenched inside the 8, and Souths just were asleep from the get-go. And not only were they asleep, but they just lacked any talent to get themselves out of the hole that they dug for themselves by showing up and quitting. So that's pretty much like...
That's a contest.
There's really not much more
I
to
mean,
say.
South now, if they're really going to quit, they're going to get fucking annihilated next week and the week after and the week after and the week after. Because we know when South quit,
It gets ugly.
A warning sign. So, look, they were awful today. Raiders, I thought...
Are awful.
Raiders came out really well. First 20 minutes, like they did against Warriors, but I don't think they sustained a performance like they did. Like giving South 2 tries just because Damien can't kick.
Yeah.
Fuck, that was funny. But it seems like the curse of GIO. No one can kick once you go there.
Yeah.
But overall, South's shit. Their 8 run is done. If anyone thought they had a chance, next week's going to be like... Now it's just going to be like roll the dice. Which game they're going to try, which game they're not. And next week I don't think they will. But we'll see what happens from there. Raiders
are awful.
Are on the up and up, man. I don't think you understand how influential
Gamal is.
And
no, I do.
The kicking game of Gamal has really been able to keep teams pinned on their own line. Raiders in the 10-meter defense is awful. But
on their own try line?
On their own try line.
Yeah, it is.
But when one team, Para doesn't do this well. Para on their 10 are actually okay. Think about it. When they get to the 10, even this week, they didn't have any on the 10. Look at how many points Melbourne scored. When they actually only 10 meters out, Para have been actually a bit better because they don't have to run back as far because they're not fit, right? Raiders, when they get to the 10, capitulate.
Decision making
is awful.
Awful, yeah.
But Raiders, in a long kicking game scenario, the way Fogarty kicks the ball, from when they're trying to get out, South's backline is nothing to rep about because they can't make meters. But even then, that's when Raiders are at their best.
They did that very well, yeah.
Papali'i, Hudson, Whitehead, all the players that came on as well, they keep them down there, and then they have to kick long. And South are the number 1 team that they have to get a call or a set play or something like that. That's why it worked well against them. Now, next week is a true test because it's long kicking game versus long kicking game. Burton can kick it out the fucking stadium, and so can Fogarty, really. So, look, it's going to be a good contest in terms of that, but Raiders, their 10-meter defense is horrific. So they really need to fix that up if they want a chance. But again, because they have 9 wins now as well, the fucking morons, they're also in chance for the 8 because Dolphins continue to lose. Sharks are in free fall. Manly lost this week. So did, who else lost this week? Warriors 1-1. Who cares?
Yep.
Everyone, fucking Dolphins.
Dolphins, yeah, fins down.
Dragons.
Yeah.
Like,
but do you know what's worse than the Raiders' 10 meters defense?
Their offense.
Their 10-meter offense.
Yeah, it's awful.
Holy shit. I think if I had to generate a top 3 of worst 10-meter offense in the league, Raiders,
Knights,
Broncos,
Knights,
Warriors.
Knights.
Nah, because Kalen can actually backline shift when they give him the ball.
But they don't give him the ball.
They're good. Broncos, Raiders, and Warriors, like, their spine play drives me
really
absolutely nuts. And as good as Jamal is at kicking the ball long, and I think they really, really did that great today. Souths were just coming out of their own end for the entire game. And they were doing it without giving away those stupid piggyback calls, which they normally have been in the last 5 or 6 rounds. But their inability to shift the ball to, like, literally anyone. Why do you think Timoko and shit, like, they don't even get involved in the game? They don't get any ball.
Listen.
So they kicked the Savage. They're awful. They're shit.
They're still better than half these cards. They're better than Dolphins.
They're not.
Oh, yeah.
They're not. I
These
promise you they're not.
Titans.
No, I promise you they're not. Raiders are something else.
We'll have to live another day.
Raiders conceded 50 to Tigers.
Are you happy to put it away if they beat Dogs?
No.
They're still garbage if they beat Dogs again.
Yeah.
All right.
They conceded 50 to Tigers. Their season's done in my eyes.
Well, actually, exactly 48.
I have one little trivia piece to wrap up this podcast because we've been chatting shit for 1 hour and 6 minutes, and I want to get to 1 hour and 10. I want to send a message to the Warriors fans that I want to say around round 6 came for us in the comment section by saying we don't know anything about rugby league and we don't know anything about how the Warriors run their franchise and their little team. And, you know, that nickel clock star should be the next immortal, according to Andrew Webster. But if anyone has fucking woken up to themselves and actually watched the last 2 Warriors games and seen Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's performances, whether it's making 200 meters from the back, whether it's saving fucking 3 tries a game to Tigers that I guarantee you nickel clocks I wouldn't have saved any of those, whether it's just giving them some momentum coming out of their backfield that will cause the other team to give up a stupid 6 again or a penalty because there's actually a threat of some fucking offense out of you guys. If anyone in the country can watch that and come at us again and say, no, you guys still are dumb as fuck, nickel clockstard's our savior, please come for us in the comment section and let me know. I want that same energy from round 5.
I'll back that. We said G was better than...
It's a Dally M medalist, brother. Come on. You can't compare some average Joe Schmo with him.
That's all it is.
I don't know, mate.
How many weeks ago did we say South suck?
Cunts need to wake up.
South.
For them to close at 2.5 today, like, I've seen everything.
How many weeks ago did we say Warriors can't score?
Oh, it's been years, man.
How many weeks ago did we say that Titans are good? I don't think we've ever
We never said that one. I think we're late to the party there, but in saying that, look, we've been talking shit for 1 hour and 10. We'll give you guys a bit of time back on your Monday evening, but we won't give you too much time because we'll be here 48 hours from now to scream at many lineups. Souths, Tigers, Cowboys, Titans again.
Knights are back.
Knights, yes! So Adam O'Brien, let's see what you cooked up over the fucking weekend. I'm keen for it, brother. I think Bradman might play. Anyway, peace out, guys. Thanks for staying with us.